Good morning, folks. I am Dr. Nile, and I'll be giving you your briefing. Today's SCP is SCP-4908. Containment Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-4908 may be used for testing by researchers Level 3 TAC-4908 or above. Additionally, it has been approved for use on a case-by-case basis on Foundation personnel. Said personnel must meet the activation criteria and have psychological trauma untreatable via traditional psychiatric or psychological methods. Such uses must be reviewed and approved by the medical director of Site-316 and 2 independent Foundation psychiatrists uninvolved in the patient's treatment. When not in use, it is to remain in the Safe Class Containment Unit at Site-316. Description: SCP-4908 is an Oculus Rift virtual reality system headset and associated controller. In terms of standard function and connectivity, it appears to be non-anomalous in all conducted tests. Its anomalous properties activate when it is placed on a human subject meeting 2 specific criteria, namely the subject must 1. Be above the age of 18, and 2. Bear responsibility or feel as though they bear the responsibility for the death of another human or humans. Designated SCP-4908 TAC-1 for the sake of reference. Subjects meeting this criteria after donning the headset will view a title card for a video game called Story of My Life, followed by a menu with 3 options: Play, Options, and Redo. Only the Play button is functional. Upon selecting this option using the controller, different outcomes will occur depending on whether the subject is or is not responsible for the death of an SCP-4908 TAC-1 instance. Regardless of the outcome, the sequence of events will last several seconds, during which both the headset and the subject themselves are immobilized by an undetectable force. Upon completion of the sequence, the subject will then be able to remove the headset. If they bear direct responsibility for the death of an SCP-4908 TAC-1 instance, the following will occur. From the subject's perspective, they will suddenly be inhabiting the body of their past self, exactly 24 hours prior to SCP-4908 TAC-1's death. They are largely free to act as they wish, except that they are incapable of killing SCP-4908 TAC-1. In all cases of a subject attempting to kill SCP-4908 TAC-1, a variety of circumstances, ranging from probabilistic anomalies to XK-class scenarios, to the subject entering into sudden cardiac arrest, will prevent SCP-4908 TAC-1's death at the subject's hands. In all cases, the subject will play out the remainder of a life from the starting point until the subject's death. Upon their death, a black screen will appear with the option Try Again highlighted. In all cases, if the person does not choose within 30 seconds, the button will depress as if selected, and the person will again be transported to the moment 24 hours prior to SCP-4908 TAC-1's death. This sequence will repeat itself for an indeterminate number of times, differing from subject to subject. After an unknown set criteria are met, the post-death screen will include the options Try Again and I Understand Now. Unlike with prior instances, the choice will not be automatically selected after 30 seconds. Upon selection of the second option, subjects will regain consciousness and be able to remove the headset. If they do not bear responsibility for the death of an SCP-4908 TAC-1 instance, but feel as though they bear responsibility, the following will occur. From the subject's perspective, they will suddenly be inhabiting the body of their past self, exactly 24 hours prior to SCP-4908 TAC-1's death. They are able to act as they wish, but in every sequence generated, SCP-4908 TAC-1 will die either via the original cause of death or within a 7-day period of the original death. If the SCP-4908 TAC-1 instance does not experience the original cause of death, a number of different scenarios will play out, inevitably resulting in SCP-4908 TAC-1's death. Scenarios have ranged from various K-class scenarios to more mundane mechanisms, such as a fatal fall down a staircase. After the death of SCP-4908 TAC-1, the subject will continue until their own death, upon which they will experience the Try Again screen. As with the other outcome, subjects are forced to select the Try Again option. This sequence will repeat itself for an indeterminate number of times, differing from subject to subject. After an unknown set of criteria are met, the post-death screen will include the options Try Again and I Understand Now. As in the first scenario, the choice will not automatically be selected after 30 seconds. Upon selection of the second option, subjects will regain consciousness and be able to remove the headset. Abbreviated testing log. Subject: Delta 571283. Criteria met. 19-year-old male, responsible for the murder of an adolescent boy,
redacted,
by strangulation. Length of test and reported or estimated instance count: 1 second, 37 instances. Results: Subject wept for roughly 10 minutes and repeatedly spoke the phrases, "I'm so sorry,"
redacted,
"I can never make this right," and "I wish I could change it." After being returned to his cell, he asked for painting supplies. Despite no prior art knowledge, the subject displayed proficiency with several styles, notably including the cognito-hazardous works of an artist and person of interest 432,
redacted.
3 months after testing, he volunteered for exploration of a Keter-class spatial anomaly and was fatally injured by its inhabitants. Subject: Delta 098172. Criteria met. 28-year-old male. Feels responsible for the death of his younger sister. Questioning revealed that he introduced her to codeine syrup during their adolescence, later leading to an opioid addiction and fatal overdose 3 years prior to his arrest. Length of test and reported or estimated instance count: 8 seconds, estimated 750 instances. Results: Subject sat on the floor and cried for approximately 2 minutes, before then hugging researcher Rigaud, present in the room, and thanking him for the experience. Pre-test psychological evaluations indicated the subject suffered from symptoms broadly matching PTSD, triggered by thoughts of his sister. Post-test, the subject reported feeling contentment and at ease regarding his sister's death, having attained an understanding of her ultimate responsibility for her own actions, as well as his part in having enabled her. Psychiatrist notes indicate that the subject has disassociated himself from a sense of responsibility for her death. Subject: Delta 481712. Criteria met. 32-year-old male. Responsible for the stalking and serial murders of several collegiate females at
redacted,
university. Recruited by the Foundation for the purpose of testing SCP-4908 on sociopathic individuals. Length of test and reported or estimated instance count: 3 minutes, estimated 45,000 plus instances. Results: At 1 minute 37 seconds, EEG recordings displayed significantly elevated electrical activity. At 2 minutes 19 seconds, the subject began seizing and fell to the floor. At 3 minutes, SCP-4908 suddenly fell off the subject's head. EEG recordings recorded a total cessation of electrical activity, and the subject was pronounced dead at the scene. Subject: Delta 243817. Criteria met. 38-year-old male. Responsible for the 2019 bombing of a Sunni mosque in
redacted,
Afghanistan, resulting in 23 fatalities and 57 injuries. Rendered by the FBI Unusual Incidents Unit into Foundation custody to test SCP-4908's effects on a person responsible for a mass casualty scenario. Length of test and reported or estimated instance count: 21 seconds, estimated 4,720 instances. Results: Subject asked researchers present which way faced eastward, and upon their reply, knelt and prayed silently for approximately 7 minutes before standing again. Prior to testing, he was hostile and non-cooperative towards CIA, FBI UIU, and Foundation personnel during transfer and holding. After the experience, he described a newfound interest in aiding the Foundation's mission of protecting humanity, and psychological evaluations indicate he has been de-radicalized. He has since been fully cooperative with the Foundation, using his knowledge of and connections to Islamist extremist groups to assist the Foundation in neutralizing groups of interest
redacted,
and
redacted,
and recovering SCP.
redacted,
Subject: Dr.
redacted,
Criteria met. 49-year-old male, level 3
redacted,
researcher and Foundation physician. feels responsible for the death of his 15-year-old daughter. 1 year prior to testing, she ruptured her appendix. Due to the presence of an extensively drug-resistant strain of S. aureus, last-line antibiotics were ineffective, and she rapidly entered septic shock and died before Dr.
Redacted.
Emergency petition of use of SCP-427's curative properties could be reviewed and approved. Length of test and reported or estimated instance count. 2 seconds, 89 instances. Results. Dr.
Redacted.
reported complete resolution of his symptoms of psychological trauma. Prior to testing, he had expressed feelings of guilt and culpability for his daughter's death, noting that he had neglected his family in search of a promotion, and had recently declined a research position with the SCP-427 team that would have allowed him to authorize emergency uses. Post-test counseling sessions indicate that he no longer views his self-described failures as a father and as a researcher as the ultimate cause of his daughter's death. An application for the use of SCP-4908 on Dr.
Redacted.
wife, who he indicates is suffering from similar trauma, is pending approval. Subject: Delta 987124. Criteria met: 25-year-old female. Responsible for the deaths of a family of 4, including 2 children aged 5 and 7, due to a head-on collision caused by driving while intoxicated. Length of test and reported or estimated instance count: 4 seconds, 218 instances. Results. The subject immediately entered cardiac arrest after removal of SCP-4908, believed to be due to stress-induced cardiomyopathy. Despite personnel's best efforts at resuscitation, the subject suffered severe brain damage and required mechanical ventilation support to sustain their life. Apart from instances of spontaneous crying, no signs of neural function were noted, and subject was terminated 2 weeks later. That's an impressive therapy machine, but I'm not really sure I'd be interested in Groundhog Daying all my traumatic experiences. Well, folks, that's been your briefing for today. Feel free to come up and ask me questions if you got them, but if not, enjoy the rest of your shifts.